You're listening to Mainstreet on CBC Radio 196.1 FM in Charlottetown. I'm Angela Walker in for Matt Rainey. Well, it seems Bubba's Lounge in Charlottetown has been playing host all summer to some of the finest young bands this country has to offer. And tonight that tradition continues when Toronto-based You Versus Me takes to the stage. They haven't been together that long, but what they've produced so far has been getting them a lot of attention. The band is described as epic indie. Members Justin, Chris, Rod, and Mike dropped by for a chat and to share some music with us. Hello to you all, and thanks for coming in.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I understand that this band came together in a rather toxic way. Can you explain about that?
Chris P and I used to work together, and one day on our shift while we were working, we suddenly started to feel really lightheaded and nauseous. We were bartending at the time, and I looked at Chris and I saw his face was a pale green, and I'm like, dude, you got to get out of here. So we ended up going back to my place. We found out afterwards that there was a chemical spill at work, and no one had told us. Our manager tried to get us to keep working.
Oh, no.
It's like, no, you're fine. You guys look great. Just keep at it. You know, you got personality. So we left, and we went back. We just started playing guitar. He picked up one of my guitars. We started kind of just jamming, and we wrote What I See in about 5-10 minutes. And we just decided, like, we should make a run at this.
Now, as a band, you all have very different musical styles. Maybe I can get you all to talk a little bit about that. Justin, tell us about your background.
I've got I guess we all do, wide range of musical influences, but I like anything from your Brit pop rock, like Stone Roses and stuff like that, and like the Smiths and the Charlatans, all the way to like heavy metal, like Lamb of God and like Children of Bodom, all those guys. Like anywhere in between there, I'll like listen to. I'm really into it. So
That's a pretty big range.
yeah, I got a pretty big range of music, but tons of really cool influences.
Perfect. How about you, Rod?
I grew up on bands like Green Day, Korn, just a wide variety of music.
And Mike?
I actually grew up listening to a lot of the Irish Rovers, ABBA, Zeppelin, Guns N' Roses, and then nowadays, then I had my heavy metal phase where it was a lot of Fear Factory and Napalm Death, and then I grew up, and now I listen to actually a lot of classical music and Muse, kind of more technical ambient rock kind of stuff.
Wow, so that is a little different than the other two. And how about you?
I'm more on the indie child of the band. I stick towards, usually I find myself listening to more Radio 3 type stuff, and Hawksley Workman, Hey Rosetta, things like that. Everything from Sarah Slean to Sarah Harmer, stick with what I know. I love it.
So how do you mesh all of those different styles and loves? It must be quite a challenge.
Well, it was
another one.
Yeah.
It's quite standoff.
It sort of came naturally. Both Mike and I sing a lot of the time, and because it's a very broad range of different musics that are sort of put together, you find that sort of dichotomy within that, and that sort of a battle of, well, what do we give more to, and who sings this one, and how do we sort of go about that, and the blending of that, and it sort of came naturally like that. It just sort of made sense after a while that would be the name of the band.
A lot of the content of the lyrics is about relationships and love and life and politics and everything in between, and so everything we do in life is basically you versus me, even in relationships and friendships, and it just seemed to be one of those things. Like Chris and I, we don't argue in a personal way. We just kind of go back and forth like sarcastic idiots. Essentially.
Isn't that the way of the world now? Just we're sarcastic idiots, you versus me.
Now, tell us about your debut EP.
We released it in December, and we're doing another release actually now, which is part of the reason of this tour. 8-song EP produced by Bob Gallo, who's a legendary, iconic figure. I mean, the people he's worked with, the caliber of musicianship that he's worked with really forced us to kind of realize that we have to play these instruments properly.
You can't fake it, right?
Yeah, it's always good to learn your instruments before you go in the studio. It's one of those things.
Now with Bob, he's got ears that are it's so dialed in for music. He hears every little flaw in a song. It's great. So we recorded at Phase 1 Studios in Toronto, which it's one of the best in North America, if not the world. It was quite an experience. Our lead engineers worked with Rihanna and Ludacris, and he did, his name is George Sierra, and he's been on tens of millions of records. It was humbling. It was, we walk in this totally unknown, unheard of band, and just kind of put an album together in 5 days or 10 days.
Yeah.
And
then get it mastered by a guy that while you're mastering with him, he gets delivered gold record for, remastering Thriller, and you're sitting there.
Oh, wow.
And then he'll ask you things like, which mic do you want to use, the one 50 Cent used or the one Sting used? How do you respond to something like that?
I mean, it must just be such a sense of accomplishment that you'd reached that point.
Well, it was almost like we were too naive to sort of understand that at that moment, and how big that was. We were sort of come into, okay, there's a studio and we're working with these people, and then all of a sudden, I'm sorry, Sting's microphone, it sort of hits you later once you can talk about it like this, and you realize just how big that moment is and how, you take it in.
Well, and in 10, 15 years from now, people are going, Chris's microphone?
yeah, we're like,
very well be.
Recorded here. Enrique was in this building.
It's one thing, though, to release the EP, but it's another thing to market it and get it out there. And you guys have come up with some really creative ways of doing that. Tell us about the Claymation.
Well, Claymation was I actually went to film school before doing any of this, and I developed a love for stop-motion animation and Claymation, and it was originally intended for a film festival. It actually didn't get done on time, and then when we wrote this song, Going Home, it just sort of seemed to fit with it absolutely perfectly, and I think it mixes very well.
So what's it mean to you to be here on PEI?
No, it's everything. We're just really excited to get to see Canada, and PEI we didn't get to come to on our last trip out to the Maritimes. So it's just a great town. Like, we just pulled in about half an hour ago, and it's really quaint. It's a beautiful town. It's clean, the rolling hills. Like, being from Toronto, our horizon has been defeated. There's no more hills. It's all raised and leveled. There's nothing to see anymore. So
yeah. And from here, you're on to Halifax.
Yeah, we're on to Halifax, and fortunately, we made friends with a fan in Moncton. So she's been helping us stave off the tour scurvy, if you will. And we don't always have to sleep in the van. We have a little.
Oh, so life on the road is glamorous, isn't it?
To get to, Yeah. Oh, it's so glamorous right now.
Where do you see yourselves 5 years from now?
Hopefully here, but in a bigger bus.
We'll have breakfast.
Somebody will have served you breakfast, and Rob, you won't have to have. We were talking earlier, strawberry applesauce. Yeah. And after, what's your next project?
Well, after this, we've got quite a few dates in and around Ontario. So we're going to keep it more around home. We got St. Catharines, London, Waterloo, and a bunch of other ones that we're going to be hitting up.
We can't talk about yet, but we'll be there soon.
And then the big thing would be to get back in the studio to do the next album and continue to go forward.
Well, audiences are in for a real treat tonight at Bubba's Lounge in Charlottetown. And before we let you go, we want to get a taste of what you have to offer. Maybe somebody could set up a song for us?
First single off our album is called Someday. It's a fun, upbeat sort of song, and hopefully you can sort of relate to it and find something in the lyrics that everyone can sort of say, hey, I know, yeah, I did that.
Tap your toes along and feel free to sing along if you come by tonight.
Thanks again for coming in.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.